Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the Awakened Happiness Now global series. I'm so glad you're here with us today, and I'm excited about our speaker today, a dear friend of mine. She's back, Denise Mange. We're going to be talking about translating your pet's behavior. And if you are new to me, new to my show, please do subscribe on YouTube so that you can follow all of the current shows, the future shows, the past shows. There's so much um, wisdom teachings, experiences, activations, healings, guidance, etc., that you can take advantage of. And so, like I said, today we have Denise Mange talking about translating your pet's behavior. And so, some of what we're going to do today on the show is we're going to talk about how your animal companions are helping you on your path of personal growth, and also to find out ways you can help them do the same. We're also going to talk about what your pet is trying to tell you through behaviors like barking, jumping, on leash, reactivity, accidents, and more. Your pet's role in your life, including have you been together in past lifetimes and why you have always been drawn to a particular animal. And Denise is going to be doing a few mini readings as well live in the call, and we know how spectacular she is and spot on. So looking forward to that. And of course, for those of you who may not know Denise, she's been on our show many times and we love having her. She is a certified dog trainer and pet intuitive. And after a decade of working at some of the most prestigious advertising agencies in New York City, Denise left Madison Avenue to work with pets and their humans, eventually creating her own mindful pet lifestyle brand called Pet Prana, combining traditional training techniques with energetic considerations of pet guardianship. Denise's work highlights how everyday interactions with our pets have the power to transform us. I totally agree. So we're going to talk about Denise, her new book as well. Some of you may already know about it. Some of you may not. We're going to talk about that and so much more. So please join me in welcoming Denise back to the show. Denise, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's always so fun to get together, and you always have such a global audience. We have people from Portugal, from Ireland, from the United States, from Canada. So this is going to be really fun because we'll get to talk about not only pets, but even if you join and you don't have an animal companion, we can talk about animals in the wild. Our
Mhm.
animal companions, whether domesticated or kind of out and about, they always have messages for us.
Absolutely. And, and sometimes the messages are very simple, right? So I know for myself, it's Neo's birthday. So for those of you who may not know on Facebook, it's his birthday today or around today. We're not sure exactly, right? Because we got him on November 11th. So we decided, okay, then we'll just make his birthday June 11th. So 6 years old. And we are so, so grateful to have him with us. And he, definitely has been transforming my life and definitely, I think I understand him pretty well, but he also understands me, but he also understands different languages, which is that's like, I think it's the tone or it's the intention or something, but he understands my dad when he talks in Hindi to him. He understands German, he understands English. He really truly is a very smart puppy. He's always going to be a puppy to me, even if he's 6 years old. He's my baby, but he's very smart, very good, and yeah, he's a good boy. So I'm so glad that of course he's upstairs right now sleeping, but he's such a good boy, and I'm so grateful that he was born, and that we found him or he found us. That's how I like to look at it. He definitely found us. So I feel so privileged to share this journey with him as well.
And I love that you talk about the multilingual aspect of our pets, right? Because it's so true. They have been so phenomenal at learning how to speak human. Not only do they understand, scientists will say it's a handful of words, that they have the same cognitive ability as like a 2-year-old or 3-year-old human. I think it goes way beyond that, right? They understand our words, they understand our language, but more importantly, they read into our energy. They're experts at
Mhm.
reading the room, reading our field, and melding with our field, especially our dogs. And it's interesting because they've always been really experts at this, and now we're learning to translate their behavior to speak dog, to kind of decode what they're saying. And when we have a little bit of like a Rosetta Stone to have a starting or a jumping off point of what they're trying to say with their different behaviors, it helps us better learn their language and understand how to go deeper with them. Because, of course, we understand those nuances. As pet parents, you guys are incredibly intuitive. You know what it means when your dog's ear goes like this, or they give you that look, or you know what one bark means versus another kind of bark or little growl. But we're learning to go deeper. What now beyond that are they saying about our lives, about how we can improve, how we can better understand our patterns, our motivations, our mindsets, so that we can vibe higher? Because when we understand what they're telling us about ourselves, we vibe higher and so can they. So it's this really beautiful, um, almost missing link that hasn't been formalized yet about how we interact with our animal companions. As pet parents, you're attuned to this, but there hasn't been a lot of formalized information about our energetic connection, especially not in the dog training field, which is where I operate on a daily basis. So that's what we get to talk about a little bit today. Not only, you know, traditional training tips and resources, but also what their behavior says about us energetically, our patterns, our mindsets, and how we can work together to improve both ourselves and them.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is not going to be the show about Neo, but it's funny how one of his quirks is that when he wants to play, he will take the lamb or any other toy to my dad and puts it at his feet. And my dad, his hearing is going, so he doesn't hear him and doesn't realize he's there. And I'm like, I keep telling him he wants you to play with him. He wants you to play with him. But my dad doesn't get it, right. So then my dad will play with him at a specific point, and he'll give him a treat and things like that. So he does all that, but he doesn't. So I think the reason why Neo does that is to get my dad out of the zone that he's in at that moment, right? Because he's just on the computer, on the laptop, doing whatever. But it's like to get him to be more present in the moment, interacting, right? And so um it's not just about Neo wants to play, it's like who he wants to play with, who he wants to bring in, right?
That's such a beautiful observation. And as our culture has become more tech focused, more screen focused, more kind of job focused, our animal companions do that. They do kind of nudge us and get us away from the screens, get us away, get us into more playful modes, get us to be more present when we are spending quality time with them. And one of the most interesting aspects of our pets is when we do have a multi-human household, because they may play different roles for different family and pack members. And that's what makes them experts at reading our energy. They know that one of us might need that push to like focus, work on the project that you've always talked about working on, sit down, get it done, stop procrastinating. But to another family member, they might be like, whoa, stop, put your book down, stop reading, come out into nature, get grounded in the energy. So it's beautiful to see how they interact differently, which with each pack member and based on their needs.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. He's so smart, so intuitive. But it's not just Neo. I'm sure all of your pets, those of you who have pets as well, you know how smart and intuitive they are, right? And so when I'm watching Neo, and then I'm also then interpreting, okay, what is he thinking? What does he want to bring to the fore? What is he like? What is he? And even for myself, sometimes if I'm like, you know, in my head or whatever, and then he wants to play, or just wants me to pet him, it's like, okay, so he wants that, me to focus on something else. It's like, don't think about whatever you're thinking, do this, play with me, do this with me, right? So and that gets me present, and that gets me to focus on joy and laughter and play and all that stuff, right? So it helps to change our energy and change the energy in the environment as well.
Absolutely. And I love that you talk about that curiosity. What is it that he wants? What is it that he needs in this moment? What is it that he's asking of me? As pet parents, we tend to be incredibly empathic, and we also tend to be incredible givers. I can't tell you how many times I hop onto an animal communication session. The first like three questions are, is my pet happy? Do they love me? What can I do to make their life better? How do they feel about this, that, or the other? And what's so interesting is we're so quick to ask those questions and check in with them on all those emotional levels. Are their needs met? But we don't often do that for ourselves. And that's when a lot of times in those readings, the pets turn it around. You never ask yourself that. Let's ask you. Let's talk about you. And so that's where that reflection is so beautiful and divine, right? Our pets act as mirrors. Their behavior helps us reflect and understand more about our mindsets, our motivations, our needs, the needs being met, the unmet needs, and how we can work together to reach common goals. And this is so important because when we're working with our animal companions, it's all about understanding motivation. And in understanding their motivation, it gives insight into our fears, our beliefs, our mindsets, and what motivates our actions. That's where the mirroring is just so incredible. And a lot of the philosophy that I did, I went beyond the traditional dog training. We talked about how traditional dog training doesn't really talk much about the energetic connection. They've done a great job talking about, how to make sure your pet's healthy, how to make sure that they feel secure with basic obedience commands, how to make sure that their physical needs are met with exercise. And then we've gotten to the point where we talk about mental stimulation and how important that is. And we have a lot of kind of puzzle toys out in the market nowadays. But that's where traditional dog training has really plateaued. They don't go into that energetic connection. And so as I worked with pets and their humans, I started realizing that when our animal companions displayed certain behaviors, they were really kind of shining a light on very common human themes and motivation. So when I was working in New York City and I was working with a lot of dogs with on-leash reactivity, which is them kind of barking on leash or being very shy on leash, I realized that a lot of times the pet parents themselves, they might either be feeling a little ungrounded. Maybe they were between jobs. Maybe they were feeling kind of offense is the best defense. They were in a tough relationship, so they'd always be the first one to kind of lash out and kind of set those boundaries, but not in a very healthy way. And so I started realizing that our animal companions' behavior mirrors ours so beautifully, so clearly. And so as over the years, as I've worked with pets and their humans, I've mapped out different common pet behaviors with human motivation and which chakras link to that motivation. So now we have a roadmap to truly decode our animal companions' behavior, and understand, what's motivating their behavior, how my motivation and mindset's contributing to it, and kind of what universal theme me and my pet are working on. Because when it comes to on-leash reactivity, the universal theme is really about safety and security. Do I feel safe and secure in my environment? And the motivation there is really important because it informs the mindset. The mindset might be, I always have to fight to achieve anything that is worth value. Or the mindset might be, I never feel supported in my life. And so when we understand how our animal companions' behavior is shedding light on different motivations, we can go from disempowering motivations to more empowered ones. Like, I have everything I need to thrive. And this is truly important because when we're working with our animal companions, especially with things like on-leash reactivity, separation anxiety, those kind of behaviors that are more ingrained, traditional training is essential. I can't repeat that enough. But it's not everything. We need to change the energy around the situation, our mindsets, because that's when we see true change and long-lasting change for ourselves and our animal companions as well. So they're going to serve as amazing litmus tests of like, have I changed my attitude? Have I worked through these universal themes alongside my pet? Because once I have, we see their behavior shifting as well.
Oh my goodness. And it's like when you were talking about the on-leash reactivity and everything else, it's like Neo never barks when he's on leash outside. Very, very rarely. Other dogs bark at him, but he just watches them and like but then he just keeps going, right? But it's like training a Tibby Tibetan Spaniel is impossible. Impossible. I don't know how many of you have a Tibby, but they are so stubborn and they only do things when they want to do it. Now, I know there's training, but I've tried everything,
Mhm.
everything. And he just you know, like when I say come inside, he will not come. And if I'm watching at the door, he will not come. But as soon as I move away, then he will come when he wants to. I'm like, oh my God, really?
And that's a common thing that I hear from pet parents all the time. Like, they're just not going to do it. They're a little stubborn, or, it's part of their breed, or maybe it's just their little spirit. And that's the beauty of it, because I would venture a guess to say that you too might be a little not stubborn necessarily. And that's where I like to change those words, but you know what's best for you in the
I
moment.
have an independent streak. That's
Yes.
what I'm going to call it. I have an
Yes.
independent streak.
And so when we are working with those animal companions, they're reflecting back those aspects of ourselves. And your independent streak has served you well. You're not
Mm.
a follow, go with the crowd, go with the flow. You're always going to listen to your gut and your intuition. So when we're working with animal companions like Neo, and by the way, that makes sense because his numerology, his name vibrates at a 17/8. 8 is the number of the beautiful leader. So the beautiful
Mm.
leader is not a follower. So understanding these tendencies, the numerology and the vibration of their name and how they're reflecting us, now we can reposition it and reframe our mindset. It's not a me versus him in those moments, a tete-a-tete. It's all right, he's independent, he's got his independent streak. How can we collaborate together for a win-win? Or is it that important that I need to push him, or can I allow him to have that decision on his own? Because just like ourselves, for our animal companions, a lot of times, if you're dealing like with a rescue who's very shy, a lot of decisions can be overwhelming. But if you have an independent dog, they might like to have some times where it's like, I'm not just following direction, or she's not the one setting the rules. Sometimes I get to say when I come in. So that's where understanding their true little spirit and what they're mirroring back to us really works. And I bet as a teenager or as a child, you probably would have liked to have those choices, because you make solid decisions based on your intuition, your gut, and your instinct. So it's by honoring that in him, you're honoring that in you.
Hmm. Wow. That's so powerful and so illuminating as well, right? At the same time. And and that's the thing, we like recognizing, those qualities in our pets as not being something bad, but that's who they are. That's part of their character, that's part of their charm, that's part of their personality. Because he's not bad. He's not a bad boy at all. Like he's so good. Except, he has this independent streak, which of course I do too. So what can you do?
Yeah, and we honor it, right? And so this is where we also get to see our animal companions as equal partners. And this to me is the most exciting part about taking a more mindful approach to pet guardianship, because we know that we share soul contracts with our animal companions,
Mm.
just like we share them with humans. We have different relationships with different humans in different chapters of our lives to help us grow, expand, perceive things differently, and kind of grow as human beings in our path of personal development. We have those same contracts with our animal companions. So we talk about how our animal companions help us grow and help us achieve our own mastery. But by seeing them as equal partners, by seeing them as these teachers, these little gurus, but also these partnerships in our growth, we help them reach self-actualization as well, because they come with missions. They come to help us grow. They come to help work with us. And when they're successful, when we listen to them, we act upon their guidance. Now they feel like they're growing too. And that's how we can make them feel like they're stepping into their mastery as well. So, for some animal companions, yes, we view them as babies, as, our little ones that we want to care and nurture. But there's always that aspect of teaching. Even the most docile, sweet, submissive dogs, they're teaching us something about ourselves. We're expanding. It might be about our role as mothers, our perception of motherhood, our perception of unconditional love. And just like, in elementary school and university, we had some teachers who were more hardcore and some teachers who were softer. Same thing with our pets. But regardless, when we learn to speak their language, when we honor the messages that they're sending us, when we make the changes based on their recommendation, we vibe higher, and so can they.
And I love what you just said right now about how, in our interactions with our babies, um, we are getting to learn more about ourselves, and that's why we're here. That's what the spiritual growth is all about. Is about learning about who we are. Not necessarily what makes us tick, but who we are deep in our inner core, right? And so, and recognizing that everyone in our lives, people and humans, they're all serving a purpose to help us to get to know who we are truly, without judgment and all that stuff, but also without blinders, right? So sometimes when you're with a pet, it like you really come face to face with what's going on with you in the moment, right?
Absolutely. So, our animal companions can be some of the most honest and intimate relationships in our lives, because we know they have no hidden agenda. We know they're not going to stop loving us, overnight. So, we can be truly vulnerable. They see us at our most vulnerable, at our most joyous. So, we can be honest and raw with them. So, when we're interacting with them, we see the most honest version of ourselves. Sometimes with other humans, that's a bit more difficult because there's more complexity around the dynamics. But that's what makes our animal companions such amazing dress rehearsals. If I need to work on setting boundaries with other relationships in my life, with a significant other, with a friend, with a family member, with a boss, learning to set boundaries with my animal companion is going to help me understand and kind of build that muscle, so that I can translate it to broader areas in my life. So oftentimes I'll work with clients and, they call me in for separation anxiety or,
Mm.
leash reactivity, or my dog is nipping and chewing and jumping. And by the end of the session, they're like, oh my gosh, you're a dog trainer, but you're my life coach. Like, these concepts that you're talking about translate to various different areas of our lives. And one of the most beautiful ways, that we have to translate our pet behaviors is something that most of us in the spiritual community are very intimately familiar with, which is the chakra system, right? The same way that we have seven major chakras, our animal companions have the same seven major chakras. So we are able to use not only their behavior as jumping off points, but also what's going on physically in their body, as if there's something going on in their little legs or their tail. All right, let's look at their first chakra. Let's look at my first chakra. Let's look at the themes and mindsets associated with the first chakra. Because the beauty of the chakra is they are linked to not only physical locations in our body, but universal themes that every human can relate to. At the end of the day, we all want this to feel safe and secure. We all want to feel emotional belonging. We all want to feel intimacy. We all want to feel respect and esteem from others. We all want to feel regarded. We all want to feel like we can be the best person we can be and create a legacy and, have this self-actualization. Our stories may show up, those themes may show up in different narratives in our lives, but those themes are universal. We all can relate to those, and so can our animal companions. And one of my favorite resources, which reflects the chakra system so beautifully, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He was a humanist psychology, and he outlined exactly what I just listed out. He kind of created this beautiful philosophy, or it's widely accepted theory at this point, that humans have these basic needs and they build upon each other. And what I say is those match the chakras beautifully. And P.S., our animal companions have those same basic needs. So we get to understand and grow together and build so that we all reach self-actualization.
I never, I mean, obviously I've seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs many times, but I never correlated it with the chakra system. But now when I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh, I can definitely see that for sure. But absolutely, like our dogs, our animals, they all also have chakras, and um just when you start to look at it and think of the your pet as more than just a dog, it's a being who's here, a living being who is here with you on your journey and path. When you start to open up your mind about the dog, it's not just my baby, it's a being of light here with me, right? um you tend to see them in a different way, and then you interact with them in a different way,
Mhm.
right? It's kind of like he's not a person per se, but he's also not like a what's a proper way of saying this, but he's smart, he's intelligent, he has consciousness, right?
Mhm.
So you can interact with him and engage with him in many different ways, not just verbally, but also energetically and empathically as well.
Absolutely. And, the thing that's really important about that too is how, just like us, they are extremely multidimensional. So, in one chapter of our journey together, they might need me to take the lead. They might need more nurturing. They might need more of the care. But then something might happen in my life where now I'm leaning on my pet, right? So, it's that beautiful dance, that symbiotic dance. And I always like to talk about them as everyone, when we're opening up to our spiritual intuition, we're like, who are my guides? Where are my guides? Do I have new guides coming in? Who am I connecting with? We have the cutest little guides, furry, embodied right by our side. And by the way, when they do disembody, they still remain as part of our guides, our energetic soul pack. So we still maintain that connection, but just in new ways. So, we learn so much from our animal companions while they're embodied, but also once they've transitioned and crossed over, sometimes arguably our connection can be even stronger because we've built that rapport, we've learned the shared language, we have that common experience, and now we get to connect in this unlimited way.
Yeah, absolutely. So these connections that we have um with our pets, dogs, cats, birds, whatever it happens to be, it transcends this time and space. Right.
Mhm.
And that's also something that we have to remember, that it transcends this time and space. And yes, like you mentioned before, we may have and probably had lifetimes with them in the past as well, right? And
Mhm.
so when I think about that for myself, it's like, I've known Neo definitely because like we were so close. It's like I definitely, can feel that we had a connection before, right? And that's why he came in at a very vulnerable time to help me. Because I asked for help. I remember, I mentioned this a couple of times before, but I asked for help, and then suddenly a couple of months later, I find him. And so he was born pretty much right after I'd asked for help, kind of thing. So, and then just the way that we met and all that, it's a just magical story. But it just shows how they're they are here to support us as much as we are supporting them,
That's
right? And that connection is so strong and so powerful. And it's a relationship. It's not like I'm caring for him, he's also caring for me, at the same time.
And I think that's a really beautiful observation and something that's worth mentioning, because our animal companions, they do come to us at very important chapters in our lives for very specific reasons. That's also one of the reasons I love doing numerology on the human's name and the pet's name, because we understand where our numbers cross over, our tendencies, where we complete each other. So it's not only when they come into our lives, but also the name that they come with. Whether they come with a name and you keep it or you change it, it's always incredible because pet parents know exactly what they need to call in instinctively. It's just like a mom having a human baby. Sometimes they just know a name or they say that it was whispered in my ear. Same thing with our animal companions. The timing and the name that we decide to give them or keep says a lot about the role in our lives. And one thing that I think is really interesting about this, where we talk about did we know them in a past life, especially animal companions, when we have an 11 vibration within their name or as the overall number, that tends to signify a lot of past life connection. But
Hmm.
I work with a lot of pet parents who their pet just crossed over and they say, are they coming back? Are they coming back? Do they want to come back? And how soon? Right. And so I've had that question a lot recently. And one thing that I thought I would share is what this one animal companion brought through. He's like, I will be coming back, but if I do come back, it's not as you expected because you've changed and grown, and so have I. So we're not going to repeat the past lessons and have that identical relationship. It's going to be the evolution of us, which was a really beautiful notion. The other question I get is, what if they decide to come back and I wasn't looking for them or I miss it? I don't find them and they go and they land with another family. And what this animal companion said is that's impossible. If I'm meant to come back and be with you, you will find me. I'm not going to be lost. It's not like I enter a body and now I'm kind of like one on a shelf, one of a million on a shelf, and you have to find me, otherwise I'm lost. It's not like that at all. They can come in at any point in any little body. We don't have to calculate when they transition versus when this animal was born to make sure that it's the same little soul. They have that flexibility. They can come into any body at any time. They can do walk-ins, or we can choose to just stay connected with them energetically. But I thought that was a really interesting kernel from some of these readings, because to your point, when they're meant to come for a certain chapter, they will arrive. We can trust that.
Mhm. It's beautiful. Wow, that's so powerful. It's giving me chills all over. Ah, thank you.
And I know
Okay,
we've got
so
a few folks on here whose pets have transitioned recently. And I just want to say my heart's with you guys. I know it's a really, really difficult moment where we have to say goodbye to our pets, whether it was a long goodbye or something that happened quite suddenly. But there's something going on in the energy. There's certain times in, I'm going to say human development or human consciousness, where I've noticed a big mass exodus of pets. And this is because it signifies kind of a change in the guard and the energy. And just recently, kind of the April, May timeframe, I've seen a big exodus of a lot of pets. And it's because our consciousnesses have raised and we've opened our hearts in new ways. And by them going to the other side, they act as that beacon. Now they can be higher vibration that we can attune in and then anchor here on earth. So for anybody who's kind of recently had to say goodbye to their animal companions, we're all holding you in our heart as a community, and know they might be part of this kind of bigger movement of animal companions supporting us in these really amazing ways.
wow. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do when it's time for Neo to go. I don't even want to think about it. But yes, my heart goes out to you, and it's difficult for sure. But at the same time, a lot of times if your dog or your cat or your pet has been ill, then it's actually good, because then they're no longer suffering, right? I don't like suffering, so it's like just
Yeah.
the thought of anything happening to Neo, even him being a little bit anything, it's like, no, it breaks my heart.
And I think
um
one
so
thing that's also important to talk about that, because that's such a human preconception we have with our animal companions. So I'm glad you brought that up, because for a lot of pet parents, that's the hardest part of the goodbye. They may still feel connected once they transition, but that thought that their animal companion was in pain, or maybe they didn't realize they were in pain, or they didn't do enough. One thing that has come through time and time again in readings is, as humans, we're super attached to our bodies. If we don't feel well, that's what we focus on. We're like, oh, I have a pain. I have a pain. And then if we go to bed and we wake up, we're like, is the pain still there? We like anticipate, am I going to have this pain? When's it going to go away? It kind of becomes the center of our experience, because we are so attached to our bodies, where we're really grounded in them. Our animal companions, they view their little physical bodies almost as like an overcoat. So if their physical body is in pain, they're able to pop out of it and then pop back in, almost like, in humans, if they have trauma, they can dissociate and come back in. And also, they're not as attached to their physical body. So if it hurts, they rest. And then if they feel good, they jump around. They're very much kind of in the moment, no big deal. They can kind of sort through it. And so that's something that I think is important to share widely with pet parents, because that's part of the guilt and sadness that a lot of pet parents carry with them, especially because we're so empathic as pet parents. So, they do kind of accentuate that they don't feel that suffering like humans do when we have an illness.
great, thank you for that. That's helpful. Okay, so we have quite a few people with their hands raised that would like a mini reading, but I'm going to make this clear for everyone. We only have a limited amount of time, so I'm only going to take a few questions. I'm going to be blunt, and I apologize in advance, but if you're just calling to say, what is my pet saying, or what message is there from no. If you have something specific, like this is going on, I need help, whatever, okay, fine. But not general readings out of curiosity, okay? Unfortunately, we don't have time to do that many readings, but I do want to be able to help as many people as we can for something specific, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I apologize
And
if
that's
that
super
offends anybody.
helpful. That's really helpful, Shefali, because I find that as pet parents, the more specific we are, the richer kind of information comes through. And because we're pet parents, so much of these things are universal. We can all kind of learn from them. But if you do have a question, it will be helpful to know um, your pet's name, what kind of pet it is. Is it a dog? Is it a cat? If they've transitioned, that's helpful to know as well. And then any question, if it's behavioral, that's always interesting because we always can lean into the energetic component of it as well. So with that being said, I'll give the steering wheel back to you.
Okay, so yeah, so we're only going to take a few quick questions. I don't think anybody's lowered their hand, so you're still all here wanting to ask a question. But again, I'm going to be blunt. So something specific, please, and something that can help everybody. Okay, in some way, right? Um, yeah. Okay, Linda, you have a question for Denise? You want to unmute yourself?
Yeah,
Yes.
there we
Yes.
go. Sorry. Hi, Denise. Yes. I have a grand dog who is about 4 to 5 months old, and it's a Great Pyrenees. And the dog, I don't know how much interaction it had when it was really young. And it barks and it won't practically let me get near it at all. And so I would like to pet it because it's just a beautiful dog. And so it's so shy, barks, and when you do get close enough, he acts like he's got deer in the headlight type of thing.
Yes. And what's his name?
His name is Benny.
Benny, Benny, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right.
He's a
Well,
dog.
thank you for that question. That's actually really helpful. And so a couple things, we always want to look at what's going on with our animal companions through, traditional training lens, making sure physically what's going on, making sure they're getting the proper traditional training, and then we'll look at the energetic component of it as well. So
Yeah.
starting with their physical little bodies, right around 4 to 5 months old, that's when our dogs go through their first, what's called a fear imprint period. So dogs are puppies for 2 years of their lives. And within that first 2 years, they go through different fear imprint periods. And this is just when the chemistry in their body is changing, their hormones. Up until that 4 or 5 month mark, our animal companions fear no fear. If they have a little trauma, they'll bounce back. It's just like human kids, right? They'll jump from the highest ledge and like laugh. And then all of a sudden, they develop fear. So Benny is likely in a fear imprint period. And when they are in those moments, it might feel like overnight, all of a sudden things change for them. Maybe they don't want to go on a walk, or maybe they just start barking at bicycles when they never had an issue with it before. And so a lot of times when our animal companions are in those fear imprint periods, they feel like offense is the best defense. And those big deer eyes you're talking about, that feels like, I think, whale eyes, which means I'm really stressed out. So with Benny, what's going to help from a traditional standpoint is making sure that we're giving Benny lots of benevolent leadership, helping build his confidence through traditional training and kind of working on new commands with him, lots of positive reinforcement. And that collaboration, that working together is going to be really helpful. Now, our human instinct to want to just go up and hug, that's such a human way to show affection. For our animal companions, eye contact and interaction equals love. So we're going to kind of work on giving Benny some of that. He's actually doing a good job setting those energetic boundaries and saying like, listen, I need to build trust right now. I'm in a very kind of interesting moment. Things are going on in my body. I'm feeling insecure. So I need a little space. So work with him, collaborate with commands, give him treats and rewards and lots of positive reinforcement. And then energetically, also looking at his name, it's interesting because Benny has a lot of fives. So a lot of 5 amplified energy, and a lot of that's the throat chakra. So, the barking, that's him kind of expressing from his 5th chakra, kind of, setting those boundaries, expressing, speaking his truth. But when we see that kind of 555 energy that he has in his name, it also means very empathic, very sensitive. So if there's any changes in his environment, changes in his body, changes in the energy around him, he's going to pick up on it. That can be a difficult thing to manage, but we can also use it to our advantage. So that's when we want to exude more confidence, more calm, more reassurance. We don't even have to tell him, we just exude it. All is well, little one. All is well. So if we can model calm, model confidence for them, that's when they really trust our words and our guidance. So Benny just needs a little bit more of that benevolent leadership, that kind of understanding that, you know, maybe cuddles isn't it just yet. Maybe it's more that collaboration. And then, you know, just being the energy we want to see for him. And that will help him get through this fear imprint period.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Great question, Linda. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you,
You're-
Linda.
Thank you so much, Shefali.
All right, we're going to go to Cindy. Cindy, you want to unmute?
Hello. Hi, Denise. Hi, Shefali.
Hi,
Great.
Cindy.
Great to speak to you both. So I have a Chihuahua and we adopted him as an adult. He was a rescue. I've tried to potty train him for the past 6 years. It's just been really difficult. And lately I've noticed we had got a new sofa, and the pillows that are on top of the sofa, he likes to get on top of it and urinate on them. So I don't know what's going on with that. I give him a lot of love and patience. I don't spank him or really scold him. I tell him no and not to do it again. But he still seems to do that. And even after taking him outside to go tinkle, he'll come back in and he has favorite places that he'll go mark again and again. So I'm just kind of stuck, not sure how to.
And what's his name?
His name is Cisco.
Cisco. Okay, like C-I-C, sorry, C-I-S-C-O?
Yes, that's correct.
Francisco. Okay. 36. Okay, perfect. So, you know, it's interesting. First of all, thank you for opening your heart and home to rescue. That's always, you know, such a beautiful thing to do. And it's interesting that you say you've been trying to potty train him for 6 years. The interesting thing is the sixth chakra is, I've linked it when I've created this roadmap of our common pet behaviors with, you know, what's the equivalent universal theme based on each chakra. Housebreaking is associated with the sixth chakra. So we have that sixth energy kind of amplified and coming through. So a couple things, just like with Linda, we're going to start with making sure physically all is well. So we want to make sure he doesn't have a UTI. He's not marking, you know, because of his, if it's a lot of small puddles, it could be a UTI. It doesn't always mean marking. If he's having big, copious kind of puddles, that means, you know, he really is eliminating. So it's helpful to understand that motivation, right? Is it marking? Is it a UTI? Or is it just something else energetic going on? So once we move back from there, there's something really interesting about the sofa, right? Because the sixth chakra, one of the universal themes has to do with illusion versus reality, how we expected our life to be versus how it turned out. Also seeing situations for what they truly are. So sometimes it has to do with maybe we haven't let go of past grievances or annoyances or, you know, things like that. And there's nothing more triggering than having a new couch and having it soiled. And that's such a metaphor for life, right? What I would say is, as we're working with Cisco, as we're doing traditional training, as we're helping reward him, give him treats when he goes outside or something he values, so it makes it higher, more motivating for him to go outside in the correct place. But then also consider energetically, where else in your life have you created a beautiful scenario, relationship, home, dynamic, and it was soiled on by someone else? Where can we go back and look at that dynamic and see, have we truly resolved it? Have we let it go? The other thing that I always associate with housebreaking as well, which is worth kind of looking into, is if you are someone who clears your house regularly, say you sage or you clap or you visualize clearing in the energy in your space, in your home, are you then replacing it with higher vibrational energy? Because sometimes if we don't clear enough, or if we clear our energy in our home, but we don't kind of replace it with something more higher vibrational, our animal companions filter it through their body. And the only way they know how to release it is through urinating. So I would say those are some jumping off points to start looking at with Cisco. So making sure physically there's no issue like a UTI. Traditional training standpoint, giving him rewards for going, in the correct place and helping kind of reinforce that behavior with positive reinforcement. I love that you're not scolding him or anything like that, because that way we create a worse dynamic, more frustration. And then energetically, where have you created something beautiful that others have soiled? Or where did you think your life was going to be one way, but then, it turned out something different and you haven't quite come to terms with it? Or in your house, is there a clearing happening, but we're not properly releasing and replacing the energy? Those are some starting off points to look into as you're working with Cisco.
Would you recommend clearing on a weekly basis?
Oh, I would say even daily. In this day and age, there's so much going on with the energy, and things are moving so fast. And we've also had a lot of kind of cosmic things. We've had solar flares. We had a magical alignment of the planets earlier this month. There's so much going on cosmically. Our animal companions filter that through their little bodies. So I would say clear daily, even if it's just a visualization of like all right, clearing out everything negative and showering in sparkly high vibrational light. It can be like that quick. But we just want to be really intentional about how we clear the energy, how we clear our beliefs, how we clear our past experiences.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I love your book, by the way. My daughter and I have a copy.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's
Thank
exciting.
you.
Yeah, so go back and reread the translating your pet's behavior prompts for the sixth chakra. You might need to go a little deeper there, or some of the journaling prompts might help.
I definitely will. Makes so much sense. Thank you. Many blessings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cindy.
You're
And
welcome.
so that was a great little, segue into the book, because I was going to mention it earlier and then we got talking and I forgot. So yes, again, congratulations on the book. I think it's available on Amazon, right?
It is. It's available on Amazon, and I have a copy right here. I keep all my notes in it, but this is what the cover looks like. If you're searching, you can just find it under Translating Your Pet's Behavior or Denise Mange, and it's available in print and ebook. And I'm just grateful to so many of you who have, bought the book and reviewed it. And this is a philosophy that has been in the making for more than 8 years. The way the philosophy came through in this is I'd been working in advertising. I left, I did dog training. I was like, there's gotta be more than just bossing around our animal companions. So that's when I started opening up to animal communication. And I started working more intuitively with the pets that I would kind of go and who were my furry little clients. And one day I went to bed for basically 3 days, and I woke up, it was the March equinox, and this whole system was downloaded to me, where I created a roadmap between the pet's behaviors and our motivations based on our human chakras. And from that, my gosh, that has been the foundation of this entire book, this more mindful approach to our training our animal companions. And it took 8 years to write because I kept trying to fight it. I was like, no, there's got to be an exception. There's got to be an exception. We got to change some stuff here. But the day I wrote this, 8+ years ago, it is exactly translated in here as is. And what I came to find out later when I started tapping into, animal companions, animal communication, and then galactic consciousness is this is Pleiadian technology. So it was kind of downloaded from 2 Pleiadian beings who I saw floating over me, but I had no idea who they were. So yeah, that's how the book came about, and it's traditional training with the energetic consideration. So it's really kind of this new approach to pet guardianship that I think all of you are part of this new vanguard. And reading it, it feels intuitive. A lot of pet parents are like, that makes total sense. I just never knew how to verbalize it. So I'm really excited to share the book.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Cindy, for mentioning it. So,
yeah, thank you.
All right. So I wanted, there was a few, there's one really long one, which I can't read. It's too long. Question in the chat. Um,
Is that the Rita
then,
B one with the Boston Terrier?
yeah, yeah.
Let's go to that one because this is a little Boston Terrier, Rita. So also I went to Boston University and our mascot was the Boston Terrier. So I feel very drawn to that one. So Rita, I read this. Rita's dog is 5 years old. He was gentle and loving, and now he barks at humans and dogs a little bit to keep others away. He doesn't walk properly on leash. And so she's wondering how to help him, because before he was very kind of open to people and new experiences. And then he seems to have changed a bit. So with this, Rita, there's two things to consider. There's kind of two aspects to this behavior, and they're both very common in pet parents, because we are all very connected and intuitive in this community. So the first chakra I want you to look at is going to be the first chakra, because the first chakra and the themes of safety and security, those are, and feeling grounded, those are associated with on-leash reactivity and barking on leash. So where do you feel ungrounded? Where do you feel not safe? Where do you feel you have to fight for things? Or where do you feel you have to protect yourself from the world, that the world is a dangerous place? That would be the first kind of question to ask yourself energetically. And then the second aspect to this, where he's kind of guarding you against people in particular, this has echoes of the fourth chakra as well, which is the heart chakra. And so the heart chakra, I do associate in the roadmap with guest reactivity, which usually is about people entering your home or entering your space. So I would ask you energetically, how do you feel about people entering your space? Have you recently had the realization that maybe when people come into your space, they take some of you or you get depleted? How do we feel about people entering our space? Are we creating those emotional and energetic boundaries around ourselves so that we can preserve ourselves? Because what happens is, as we expand as spiritual beings, we start getting more attuned to energy and how our energy and our energetic field is interacting with others. And sometimes when we have interactions with very contained, other contained humans or individuals, we feel we can leave that interaction whole, complete, maybe feeling even replenished and renewed. However, we do have some interactions where we feel depleted. We feel like people are kind of pulling and tugging at our energy, even if not on purpose. So has that shift kind of happened for you, where you started realizing like, oh, certain people, I just feel like they're kind of taking from my energy? So the two energetic things to look at is going to be, one, where do you feel, grounding, security, safety, that, the world is unsafe? Where can we identify those kind of themes, if anywhere? And then the second is around the fourth chakra, about making sure we're keeping energetic and emotional boundaries. We're being mindful about who we're letting into our space and how we're managing our energy. So I'll start there, and then traditional training is going to be really important too, to just help give him that benevolent leadership, help him understand you're in charge, you've got his back, and he doesn't have to make those decisions. So a lot of, on-leash games, desensitization, which we can always kind of, if you contact me, we can, do a session perhaps. But there's definitely the traditional aspect, but I wanted to share the energetic too. Oh, and awesome. One more thing, Rita, thyroid. Check. If sometimes when we see those sudden changes, it could be a physical issue. It could be thyroid issues. They tend to become a bit more aggressive and protective. Or, and again, I'm not a medical intuitive, so I'm not suggesting any of these, but Cushing's also, we see pets kind of have that change of behavior. So when you're looking at the physical, at the, training and the energetic, those are just things to kind of put down on a checklist and rule out.
Awesome. Thank you. So she wrote in the chat, thank you. Both are so on point and make sense, as I am mindfully managing my energy. And thank you. It's truly on point. I will do a session with you. Yeah, awesome. Good, Rita. Thank you. The other question in the chat was from Teresa. And she said, I wonder how else can we show our deepest gratitude for the healing these beings bring to us?
I love that. And so, Teresa, that is such a beautiful question. And a lot of times, the way that our animal companions feel the most gratitude is kind of the same way we feel the most gratitude, which is simply feeling heard and feeling valued, right? Because a lot of times, one of the biggest challenges we face in our lives is feeling truly heard, feeling truly seen, feeling truly understood, feeling truly valued and taken into account. So when we listen to our animal companions, when we adopt the lessons that they're teaching to us, when we look at them at the end of the day and say, you are truly special and beautiful and interesting, and what do you need me to know about myself? How can I change to be a better human to you? And so that we can kind of learn together. Those are the things that really count. But then actions speak louder than words. Is actually making those changes. When they do show us things to change, follow through. Because I think so many of us have had those instances where we're talking to friends, we're giving them solid advice, and they're like, yes, yes, yes. And then they go right back to their old patterns. And we're like, why am I even like, this is so frustrating. I don't feel heard or, disregarded. So that's truly acting on the insight they give us is something that makes their heart sing.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. And then there's a question from Joy. She says, our little Cavalier Cashew has spikes on her paw, and she is only 5 years old. Is there anything we can do to heal?
Oh, bless her little heart. So I'm just listening in. And so I'm sorry to hear about the little spikes on her paw. First of all, I will say I'm not a medical intuitive. So, trust your vet, trust yourself, trust your gut. But whenever we're looking at issue with the feet, that has to do also with, the first chakra. So it's about truly feeling connected to the earth and feeling safe in that connection to the earth. So I would even say, Joy, I'd even ask you, do you feel like you're of this earth, or are you one of those starseeds who's like, I want to, I remember what it was like to be in a different realm, different experience. Do you feel safe and grounded here on earth in your own experience? And then whenever we have kind of skin issues, there's also going to be a little aspect of the third chakra, which is all about stepping into your power. So, are there places where you might be procrastinating, or you might be playing small because you don't want to become a target to others, or maybe you don't want others to feel bad about what, their abilities or their gifts. So where do we not feel comfortable in our own skin sometimes? Those are the two kind of themes I would draw you to. That first chakra in terms of feeling connected and grounded to the earth, and that it's safe to walk this earth. And the third chakra in where do we feel uncomfortable in our skin, or perhaps we're not fully stepping into our creative power.
Awesome. Thank you. Let us know how that resonates with you, Joy. And poor Cashew. I don't know what that is, having spikes on your paws, but
But it sounds painful, right?
I know it doesn't sound nice anyways. Oops. Oh goodness. Sending Cashew blessings. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, good. So hopefully that was helpful, Joy. Awesome. All right, so let's take a few minutes and talk about the packages. And Rita said she's already going to do a session with you. So I'm going to share my screen just so I can share the package properly. Give me 1 second here. Oops. Because the package A, or both packages, include a session with Denise.
So yeah, for this session, I wanted to keep the packages really simple and really clean, because I find that we're at a point in our human development, our consciousness, we're kind of that half point of the year that, having just kind of like a group package or a group course didn't feel resonant. It felt a lot more powerful to go deeper with each individual in their relationship with their animal companion to understand what they need to hear. So package A is a 30-minute intuitive reading. And I always pull the numerology assessment of your name and the pet's name. So I'll share that with you as well. And in this, we can, different animal communicators get different sorts of information. Some get, I like this toy. Others get a lot of medical information on their pet. What tends to come through most strongly for me is what's going on in the human's life through the lens of the pet. Because when we understand our motivations, our mindsets, our habits, our tendencies, our gifts, our abilities, we vibe higher and so can they. So if left to their own devices, they tend to bring things about our gifts, our life purpose, what we're doing, what we're kind of stepping into. So it's a 30-minute intuitive reading with package A, and that can be for a pet that's with you or a pet that's transitioned and passed away, or maybe if you've never even had a pet, we can still tap into the energy. If there's an animal that you've always been drawn to, like dolphin, we can use that as a starting point. Item 2 is going to be an invitation to join 1 month our private membership group, where we do a live oracle card reading. So this is a lot of fun. We pull cards for the group, and then we do individual card pulls for each person attending. So you just kind of get the messages for the month, and then specifically what's coming up for you. So both of these aspects of package A are going to be specific to you, live, interactive. And then the third item is going to be select chapters from my book that kind of set up our philosophy of our life with our animal companions, the roles they play. So I thought that would be a nice kind of complement. So that's package A. And then
package B.
Package B is everything we mentioned in package A, plus a full bundle of an online dog training course. So this would be for the pet parent who wants to add in that traditional dog training aspect to it, because it is so important. So we go through everything from, puppy 101, which is good for dogs of all ages. So setting your dog up for success. We talk about separation anxiety. We talk about housebreaking. We talk about benevolent leadership. We talk about managing unwanted behaviors. So you have all of these, you learn all the basic obedience commands, but then there's also mindful activities for us to do and energetic considerations. So it is truly that mindful approach to dog training to supplement all the energetic messages that you get in the private sessions. And this is good for dogs of all ages. If your dog is super well behaved, it's just a great way to kind of connect and kind of work and collaborate with them, because you get to kind of go through the different commands together. And if there are any behavioral issues, you have all the how-to videos and all the PDFs to help kind of complement it. So that's package B.
Awesome. And of course, with both packages, a payment plan is available as well. If you're an Inner Circle member, please do use your gift code as well. So that's wonderful, because, a lot of people always want to have a reading with you, right? So now it's available in both packages, and both are super affordable. But at the same time, I find that the readings with you, like the one-on-one readings with you, are so spot on. And when you include the numerology aspects, it just broadens everything up and gives even more of a resonance and a confirmation to what is actually going on in that person's life, right? Or the pet's life.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. Our animal companions they communicate with us through so many different ways, through numbers, through their behavior, through, psychic connection. So it's really fun to be able to, through their behavior, right? So it's really fun to be able to connect with them on all those levels, because you benefit from so much, from understanding your mindsets, your motivations, stepping into that leadership role. When we're working with our animal companions, teaching them new commands and practicing commands with them, we start learning about how we hold our body, how we run our energy, how we communicate with others, how we find our authentic leadership. And that translates to every relationship in our lives, at our job, with our pets, with family members, with relationships. So there's no downside to doing training with our animal companions, connecting with them energetically, understanding what they say about numbers, the gifts we're here to bring to the table. They are so not only wise, but they're very communicative. They're very insightful about every aspect of our lives, and always in a loving way. And I think that's what's so beautiful about our sessions with our animal companions. It's information that if my mom or my sister told me, oh man, we would be having, they would be fighting words. But if an animal companion brings it through, it's based in love, and because they see something great in you. And that's what I love about these sessions.
Beautiful. I love that. And, and that's the thing, is like, there's always an opportunity for us to broaden or deepen our relationship and our communication with our fur babies, right? as much as intuitive as we are, and as close as we are, there might still be pieces we're missing. And then with that, with the information that you bring through, that can give us that aha that we need to really truly understand our animal companion in a different way, in a deeper way that is going to help both of us, right? Me and Neo, for example, right? So it can definitely bring a lot of transformation and change and growth for both parties, right? Not just for us as humans, but also for our fur babies and our animals, for sure, right?
Beautifully said. And that's why that line, everyday interactions with our pets have the power to transform us. That's why I'm so passionate about that line. And I like to think of working with our animal companions as self-help for pets' sake, right? Because sometimes we won't pursue that expansion or, learning new things until it will help our animal companions improve their lives. Then we're all in, and I want to start yesterday, right? So I beautifully said. I would agree, Shefali. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that my heart has opened up so much more since Neo came into my life, right? And even on those days or moments when I just wanted to close down because there's stuff happening, then the interaction with Neo, with our pets, and even like, my son has a cat, Lily. My brother has a dog as well, Halo. So it's like with each one, the interaction is different, the engagement is different, but they all help to open our hearts. They help to open up our energy field. They help to open us up to experiencing more and being aware of more. Right? That's what I feel, for sure.
Absolutely. We're all working towards self-actualization. We all want to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, our pets included. And when we listen to them, follow their lead, both of us, human and furry, we kind of reach that point of really kind of crescendoing together again and again and again in higher realms, higher dimensions, and higher vibes.
This is a topic or a subject that I know that we can talk about for a long time, but I know that we have other appointments and stuff. But any last words of wisdom for our listeners and for our pets, our animal companions, who are also listening all the time?
Yeah, I love that. So, one thing that the animal companions have been bringing through really, really powerfully is that, the same way that when we take a more mindful approach to dog training, which means we look not only at the traditional training, but also the energetic considerations and the motivation behind it, then we create long-lasting change, and we can train smarter, not harder, right? It's not about putting in all the hours and like, oh my gosh, all the effort. It's about when you understand things, you can shift them pretty quickly. They want to say the same thing when it comes to us stepping into our purpose work or letting go of something. It doesn't have to be belabored. Our spiritual expansion and our personal development and growth doesn't need to be belabored anymore. We have so much available to us. It's about choosing it, choosing fun, choosing ease, choosing kind of the whole picture. Because when we're able to be insightful and intuitive and trust our intuition, things shift very quickly in our dynamics. So they just want to remind you of that. Things do not need to be difficult. We work sometimes, but we play hard too.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the energies that we're in right now, the intensity, the solstice is coming up, that can bring a lot of intensity for a lot of people. So it's even more important to play, because playing is going to help to move the energy more quickly, right? And it's going to help us to integrate the new energies coming in, so that we are not we don't feel as much, right? Because some of us feel a lot in our body when there's new energies coming onto the planet, and just new intensities, right? So play, and just being light and joyful, and it's going to help all of us to be able to integrate with more ease. And that's what it's about. Like you said, we don't have to struggle, we don't have to be belabored, it doesn't have to be difficult. We can have, and we can ask for ease and gentleness and flow. Like those days of the spiritual path being so difficult, those are gone. Let's leave that in the past, right?
Let's leave that in the past. It's going with the momentum, right?
Yeah.
Going with the momentum, knowing that at the end of each path is something really beautiful for us. So I love that flow and momentum.
I love that. Thank you. And so, of course, I do encourage everyone to work with Denise, whether you have a pet or not. This is the thing that you have to get. Like working with Denise, yes, our pets bring forward energies, but she is so intuitive. I mean, it's amazing. I'm always like stunned, Denise, by how intuitive you are and how spot on you are. And it's like if you want information, she's got it. Whether it's the 3D, 5D, 6D, the galactic, she's able to bring forward that information for you. So I definitely recommend getting a session. Do package A. But if you have training issues like I do with Neo, the only one is the separation anxiety, to be honest. And then I'm thinking maybe I should do some more training on that. But I don't know how I'm going to do it when my dad is always here. So it's like, but I'll figure it out. But that's an ongoing issue for Neo, is a separation anxiety. Um, but the thing is, we can change, right? We can change, our pets can change, our relationship can change, all of that, it can change. And sometimes we just need a little bit of information or guidance or reassurance from somebody like Denise to give us that aha, and that can start to transform everything around us. So definitely pick package A. Of course, if you have a pet that you would like to do some more training and learning about, and that never ends. It doesn't matter if Neo's 6 years old; like you can still, take advantage of training for sure. Get package B, okay? And of course, you should go back and watch or listen to the show again because of all the wisdom that came through from Denise with all the other, with the wisdom, but then with the readings as well, the information that came through is applicable to all of us. So definitely go back and watch and listen as well. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for all your questions. And thank you so much, Denise, like always, for bringing so much value to the show and just bringing your heart and bringing just your wisdom and your teachings and your gifts to the show. I just so appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This is such a beautiful platform. And thank you to everybody who joined, whether in the United States, Europe, Canada. It's such a beautiful opportunity to connect with this global pack. So thank you, thank you, thank you all. Until next time.
All right. Exactly. Till next time. So speaking of next time, our next show is on Saturday. So I'll see you then. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings always to you and your fur babies. Bye for now.